Welcome to Fox Soul's Black Report, your daily source for Black news, views, and opinions. Today is Tuesday, July 26th, and I'm Mimi Brown.
And I'm Romeo.
I'm Demi Lobo, and on today's report, a subpoena could be underway for the wife of a Supreme Court justice as the January 6th committee investigates the events that led to the insurrection. Details of that subpoena will begin at the top of the show. Meanwhile, illegal dumping has become a big issue in the city of Houston. From garbage bags to bodies. An investigation looks into whether or not city officials are systemically discriminating against their residents. Then, a racial slur made its way to local TV, a local broadcast on television, and there's an apology that they're issuing after that moment went viral.
Plus, Questlove talks about one of his worst DJing gigs he ever had and which president he had it with. And Nick Cannon welcomes another member to his family. We have all of that and so much more. This is our voice and our truth, so let's get it.
The January 6th committee is considering a subpoena for Ginni Thomas, the wife of Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas. Now, committee Vice Chair Liz Cheney says the subpoena could come if Thomas refuses to answer questions about her part in trying to overturn the 2020 election. Cheney says the committee would rather Thomas come in voluntarily to answer questions, but the panel has requested Thomas sit down, and there are text messages between Thomas and Trump Chief of Staff Mark Meadows, where Thomas urges the White House team to continue to work to overturn the election results. So we know that the January 6th committee is in talks with her attorney. They're trying to work out something where she comes in voluntarily, but I don't know how that's going to happen or why she would agree to that because the evidence is so overwhelming. There are so many text messages, emails, correspondence between her, Mark Meadows, that point to her being guilty. She also had some exchange with Trump's attorney, John Eastman. She also sent emails to Arizona lawmakers where she, quote, said, choose a clean slate of fake electors and urge them to toss out Joe Biden's victory. So with all of that happening, there's somebody, she is somebody they definitely want to speak to. That should be interesting how that plays out. But then even on the other side of that, Demi, there is Justice Clarence Thomas. Mm-hmm. And many are calling for him to recuse himself from all of the January 6 hearings, all of the anything that has to do with it, to step down at the very least because there is a clear conflict of interest happening here.
You know, Mimi and Romeo, I actually want to dive a little bit deeper into exactly what you said there. Those messages that you said to Chief of Staff Mark Meadows, 29 messages to be exact, pretty much calling him to do what you need to do to make sure Trump stays in power. Also, going back to the text messages to the lawmakers. So pretty much what she did there was she said, hey, we're going to throw out Joe Biden's victory, like you said, his popular vote victory. And what I want you to do is I want you to choose your own presidential electors. And as we know, presidential electors are chosen in a meeting with the committee. So they're like, hey, do what you guys need to do, switch some things around. And so somebody put this on Twitter, and I thought it was very powerful. They said, why does she still have a position in a government that she tried to overthrow? And that is the most powerful quote I've ever seen, because I don't know how on God's green earth is she still working in somewhere that you wanted to overturn everything that was going on, but somehow you still have a seat in all this going on, and it really doesn't make any sense to me.
No, it doesn't. And you think about Ginni Thomas, and there are certain people that's going to come up with this whole committee, right? That's going to just really put it to the point where we realize what's really going on. And she's that one. I think she knows so much that she can give. So whether she comes voluntarily, gets subpoenaed, when she finally is there, the information she's going to give her, that we're going to find out, we're going to dig out about her, is going to be so overwhelming. And I'm going to tell you right now, what did she gain from this?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Is she getting an extra bag? She getting some more money for it? What did she gain from what she wanted to do to this country?
Well, a representative for her says that she was eager to speak with the committee at first, and now she doesn't seem so eager to speak. And so I'm curious to know when she gets on the stand, what is she going to say? Because I believe that you are under oath when you are on that stand, but I am willing to put any money, the way that she moves, the way that her husband moves, the way that Donald Trump moves. I'm willing to believe that they'll leave a little bit here out and a little bit
She
there
gonna
out.
dance around the truth.
Yeah, she's definitely
Absolutely.
going to dance around. And I believe that she feels like she's protected. I mean, she is friends with a lot of people in Trump's circle, and her husband is on the Supreme Court. So I feel like a lot of what she did, she felt protected to do. She felt that she could do it and get away with it. And right now in Georgia, there are DA Fannie Willis is investigating fake electors. So we know that this is a big problem, and they're going to get to the bottom of it. And hopefully they'll do the same thing in Arizona and investigate this as well.
The block is hot for you, Ms. Thomas. We'll see how this all turns out.
It's hot.
When Supreme Court Justice KETANJI Brown Jackson takes her place on the High Court, she will hear arguments that could lead to the end of race being considered in college admissions. When Brown Jackson was sworn into the Supreme Court last month, she pledged to sit out the case involving Harvard's admission policy. To avoid a conflict of interest, Brown Jackson sits on the school's board. Now, her presence on the court isn't expected to change the outcome of the case. The conservatives have a 6-3 majority on the court. Brown Jackson will be allowed to sit on the North Carolina college admissions case that is similar to the Harvard case. Brown Jackson, along with 3 other justices, is either a graduate of Harvard College or of the law school. Federal law requires all judges to recuse themselves from cases in which their impartiality may be questioned.
Georgia prosecutor Fannie Willis is being barred from investigating one of the Republicans who served on a phony slate of pro-Trump electors. The federal judge in this case says there is a conflict of interest between Willis, her office, and State Senator Burt Jones, one of the fake electors. Last month, Willis hosted a fundraiser for a Democratic candidate who is running against Jones in November. The investigation to Jones will now be conducted by another prosecutor. Willis' probe is looking into the efforts by Trump and his allies to overturn the 2020 Georgia election results, which tipped the victory to Joe Biden.
And people aren't concerned about abortion rights. That's what Georgia Senate candidate Herschel Walker says at a time when tens of thousands of American women are protesting the recent reversal of Roe v. Wade by the U.S. Supreme Court. Walker made the statement over the weekend at an event held by farmers in the state. The GOP candidate says people are more concerned about high gas prices and food. Now, Walker's comments come as national Republicans are worried he will lose in November to Democrat Senator Raphael Warnock. The two men are set to meet each other in a debate on October 16th. Okay, this is Herschel Walker, but two things can be true at the same time. People can walk and chew gum at the same time. You can be worried about food prices, you can be worried about gas prices, but you can also be worried about abortion rights and Roe v. Wade. And so I think Roe v. Wade is a huge issue. I think it's going to come up so big. I think it's going to inflation, Roe v. Wade are going to be two of the biggest things that we're going to see in the midterm elections. And so to discount that, I think is doing a huge disservice to Republicans and what we're going to see going forward and how this may play out, because there are tons and tons of women, even Republican women, who we had Rena Shaw on the show, who was a Republican strategist, and she was even saying this is a huge issue for women. So to say that it's not just shows how much out of touch he is, even more.
You know, I really don't even think that you're absolutely right, Mimi. I don't think that this is a conversation of if abortion rights is important or not. I really think this boils down to him having no idea about what's going on in the world. I really don't, because I don't even think that we should have to tell people how important abortion rights are, because everyone who has a morsel of a brain, who is literally watching 1 minute of Instagram or Facebook or the news, will be able to know what's going on in the world. I don't even think that we should justify, is the word I was trying to say, how big abortion rights are in the world, because everyone knows. This just really shows he is, like you said, out of touch and has absolutely no idea and no clue about what he's doing. And so the people, the Republicans that vote for him, I'm wondering what's behind that, because you know that everything that he said has not made sense from where he grew up, where he voted at, everything that his son says. Nothing about this man has made sense from the very beginning. So what is behind the Republic? What are the Republicans? You ask, what is Ginni Thomas? What do the Republicans get out of having him in any type of office?
Look, you know how you have advertisement going against your opponent when it's the election time, right? He's given his opponent so many sound bites to use against him. I mean, he continues to say stuff where you're like, are you kidding me? Like, you're not, like you said, you're not watching TV, you're not seeing what's on social media, you're not understanding. Women out there fighting for their rights, women's rights. You not have a daughter, you not have family that are females. Like, it's a question where, like, dude, I feel like he wakes up and just realizes he wants to say what's on his mind instead of saying, look, here's what we want you to say. He has to be programmed.
I think that Republicans didn't do the proper vetting that they should have done for Herschel Walker. I think that they saw Senator Raphael Warnock. They saw this, intelligent, smart man who's also a pastor, who has the background and the education to be a United States senator. And then they saw Herschel Walker, who has fame. Here we go back to America having, this black athlete. We go back to America having this fame problem and thought, hey, let's just put him up against Raphael Warnock and see how this plays out because it's two black men. And I think that's what happened. And I think the more and more we start to see the cookie crumble, we're starting to peel back the layers of who we thought he is to who he really is not. Exactly. Who he really is not. Yes.
Romeo, I got to go back to what you said here because you say that you think that he wakes up in the morning and says whatever he wants to. I don't even think it's that, Romeo. I really think that he literally just says whatever. I don't even think that anyone's giving him talking points.
So you don't think he's giving him
No,
thought?
I don't think that he's given talking points and he's like, I'm just going to say this instead. I really just think that he literally says whatever he thinks that, okay, example. I know we don't have a lot of time, but Donald Trump, for example, when Donald Trump first got elected, even to the end, he never said anything that really made real sense, that made you feel like, wow, I really want to vote for him. And so you look at somebody like that was able to skate along for 4 years. He was able to skate along for a very long time, not knowing what he was talking about, throwing out stuff, telling people to drink bleach in front instead of COVID. You have someone that was able to skate like that. So I really think that they're like, we're just going to let him say whatever. And, we'll just, like you said, see how it all turns out. I don't think there's any plan. I don't think there's a goal. I don't think there's a strategy with this guy.
For the future of Republican
okay, we got to move on.
But look at Trump. Trump didn't have, there was no blueprint.
Everybody can't do that.
Yeah, but I do believe he's giving talking points. I just think he's going off on his own. That's what I think. I think he's just going off on his own and he's saying, or he can't remember them. He's getting lost in his talking points.
I don't think
that's what we're hearing.
Who in their right mind would tell somebody to say that abortion rights is not important when abortion rights is every topic of conversation
that is a
in the world
Republican
right now.
talking point. That abortion rights are not important in the midterm elections. He's saying that there is no ban. He said there currently is no ban on abortion rights right now, and that is not a fact. Right. So if he said
there's no person in America that would say there is no national ban on abortion rights when there is a ban.
So you're right. So that is him getting lost in the talking points.
It's a man waking up, saying what he wants to say.
There we go. I think Romeo said it. We went back and going back to Romeo. Romeo's always right. We found that out today. All right. Meanwhile, women who live in states that are restricted or banned from abortion, as we're talking about here, are traveling to Mexico to get that procedure done. That's ironic because Mexico only decriminalized abortion last September. Some states are helping those women. Now, Utah's insurance program is paying for women to travel to Mexico or Canada to get their medical abortion drugs. That's because it's cheaper than buying them here in the U.S. Abortion clinics south of the border say they're planning on an influx of patients as the procedure becomes less available here in the United States.
The Department of Justice is opening an investigation into the city of Houston's failure to deal with rampant dumping of garbage and even bodies in predominantly black and Latino neighborhoods. The probe, being led by the DOJ's Civil Rights Division, will look into whether city officials systematically discriminated against residents by allowing 11 of the 13 landfills and incinerators to be placed in black and Latino communities. But the city mayor is criticizing the investigation. Sylvester Turner, who is African American, says his administration has increased fines for illegal dumping and has taken steps to improve conditions in those neighborhoods. Yes, you're taking those steps, but this is something that's been going on for over 30 years. This is no secret. It's been happening in our communities for decades. And we're talking about hazardous waste facilities, neighborhoods where poor people and people of color live. We go through that. We deal with that. We understand why we have different health issues because of that. But one main thing that they talk about when I read into this a little bit deeper is how do we change that? In our community, we have to get out and make sure we know who we're voting for. We have to make sure we put up our own fight because people outside our community is not going to do that. So it's really important that you vote in the right officials that's going to get this out of our community and make life better for us.
Yeah. No, but I mean, you brought up a really good point. They always do this in our neighborhoods. You would never go to a predominantly white neighborhood and see trash, dead bodies, things like that. And so I'm glad the DOJ is looking into this because there's all kinds of waste, medical waste, mattresses, certain things like that. And so the investigation will also look into 311. So 311 in Houston is the non-emergency number that people can call if they want to report something, some environmental issue, a dead body, a pothole, I mean, it's a wide range of things that you can report on. And so what they also want to look at is how long the response time is taking. So if Black and Hispanic people are calling 311, how long does it take for them to get out there and actually do something about that issue? And so that's one thing that they also want to look into. And if you remember in May, we talked about this. Attorney General Merrick Garland, he created the Office of Environmental Justice to examine issues like this. So this is just them moving forward on something that they told us back in May that they were going to be looking into.
Right.
And so I'm really glad that the city of Houston is one of the first places that they're stopping and they're taking a look at what's going on there.
Mm-hmm. Mimi, excellent point. I think the other issue that adding on to that is that the mayor is really dragging his feet. He's not really doing much. City officials aren't really doing much to make change happen. If people are dumping of a mattress and of garbage, that's one thing. But the dumping of a body on the side of a road is something that is completely inhumane and it should be at the top priority list, honestly,
Definitely.
in this city. When we talk about mattresses, that's one thing. Like, yes, it's uncomfortable and we don't want to see. But when we start talking about dead bodies being dumped on the side of your street, that's a very big issue.
But it just goes to show what they think of us in our neighborhoods, that they think that they can just lay a dead body or anything in the middle of the street and we just step over it and keep going.
Wow.
It's just sad.
And we start getting what is the word? Not immune to it. Yeah, we kind of
Well,
get
yeah,
immune to seeing
Exactly
things
what
like
it
that,
is.
and that's also not okay.
You do. All right. So we have an update to a story we told you about last week of a missing University of Mississippi student. 22-year-old Sheldon Harrington Jr. has been arrested and charged in the death of Jimmy J. Lee. Oxford police say Lee's remains have not been found. In Harrington, he was arrested on Friday. Now, Lee went missing on July 8th. His car was discovered July 11th at a local towing company after it was removed from an apartment complex that he was last seen alive.
Human rights advocates are accusing China of exploiting thousands of children in the Congo to work in dangerous cobalt mines. Testimony about the exploitation was revealed at a House of Representatives Human Rights Commission hearing earlier this month. Cobalt is one of the major components in lithium batteries that power computers and other electrical components used in the green economy. Congo has 70% of the world's cobalt deposits. Human rights advocates and organizations, they say that the trafficking of African-American children to these similar countries is very similar to the transatlantic slave trade.
A migrant boat on its way from the Bahamas to Miami capsized Sunday, killing 17 people from Haiti. 16 of the dead were female, including one baby. A total of 25 people were pulled from the ocean. The 30-foot speedboat was found 7 miles off the coast of Nassau. Authorities say the people were being trafficked to Miami. Now, 2 of the people rescued were Bahamian smugglers. Police say as many as 60 people may have been on that boat.
And R. Kelly's former manager faces 5 years in prison after being convicted of calling in a fake threat to a crowded movie screening. Donnell Russell was convicted Friday on 1 count of threatening physical harm by interstate communication. Police say back in 2018, Russell called into a New York screening of the surviving R. Kelly documentary, saying a man with a gun was going to shoot up the theater. Now, Russell was in Chicago when he made the call. He was acquitted of related charges to conspiracy. The prosecutors say Russell wanted to interrupt a question and answer session by the film's director.
Yeah, maybe. Wow. The Weather Channel is nothing to say about that. The Weather Channel is apologizing after Iowa's Local on the 8's broadcast showed an offensive racial slur in the middle of the weather report. The graphic reads, "Hello, Des Moines, this is your weather, my N-words." The Weather Channel issued a statement saying the graphic didn't originate from them. A spokesperson for the channel confirms an investigation into the incident, and it is ongoing. Media mogul Brian Allen acquired the channel back in 2018. I mean, we're on Black Report here, It's the Black News, my ends. I mean, you know what? It just might happen like that. I mean, I think that in this particular place, it's not what you expect to come. And so I'm sure that it comes off as a racial slur here. But, I feel like if, Foxhole decided to say, hey, my whatevers, we're here, I don't think we would be as upset. We might be like, hey, that was kind of cool.
I don't know. I feel like this one looked like it had the R on the end, so
Yes.
it wasn't used in a
going down that
slang road.
So now we know.
Right. So
Okay.
now we know. And then when we think of, where was this, Iowa?
Yeah, Iowa's.
Let's think about the population in Iowa, right? So not to say that we don't live in Iowa, because we live in everywhere. Black people are in Alaska, clearly, right? But what I am saying is I don't think that this was I think this was done like a joke by someone who worked there, and then it backfired, and so now, and it slipped through the cracks, and so now they're investigating, and someone's going to lose their job.
Someone's definitely going to lose their job. Look, in TV, we do have a delay. We have a delay in radio, we have one in TV, and for me, when you get this up there and you see this, how do you not catch this, right? I mean, I understand that you're in the moment, but there's a way to get around it. We are in Damon's hour, and I'm sure the equipment is up to par as it should be the rest of the country. I mean, it's 2022, so there's no excuse for this. And like you said, it had the ER on it, so we know what time it is.
It had the ER on it, so that just goes to tell you it wasn't two people talking to each other.
What was the weather that day? That's what I want to know. What was hot? What was it? I would like to know.
I don't think
we'll know. If it wasn't, it is now.
It's hot over there, right?